It has now become clear that the timeline and the theme of the 21st century is the total AI takeover of planet Earth. So we need to know where we are, who we are, and what we need to do next. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. So the year 2000 marked a major turning point in our planet's history, probably one of the most significant turning points. And that was when all the warning bells started to go off about the future that we are headed in with AI. And just prior to the year 2000 was a very interesting time that some of you might remember. And that had to do with the whole Y2K hysteria. And that was like the whole world was almost having like a premonition, like something really major is going to happen to our civilization. Like everything's going to break down, this weird computer glitch is going to happen, and civilization is going to collapse. So that was the actual build-up at the end of the 20th century, moving into the 21st century, was basically what was like mass hysteria about civilization collapsing due to some sort of a weird computer event. Kind of like a premonition in a way. So then we go into the year 2000, and in that year, that was the year when all of the warnings started to come out about everything. That's when, for example, Bill Joy, who was the co-founder of Sun Microsystems, he was traveling around the country, the United States, and I don't know about elsewhere, but certainly the US, warning people we're headed in a really scary direction and the public needs to know where this is going so they can be in on the conversation. And he was talking about AI. That was the year that Wired magazine published its infamous article titled, "Why the Future Doesn't Need Us." And that was all about how humanity was an endangered species because of all the technology that was coming to the forefront. And that was also the very same year that I was able to attend a lecture by some scientists and engineers from Los Alamos National Laboratories in Santa Fe, New Mexico, who were predicting the advent of artificial life as a new life form that was going to threaten all of biological life on Earth. And I've told this story several times here, so I won't go into that in detail today. But it's very interesting how the lead up to 2000 was hysteria about a collapse of civilization because of a computer episode, and then leading right into all of these warnings about where we were headed. The interesting thing about the warnings is that nobody was really paying attention. It was just like shrugged off. Now, I think that this was probably the last time that these kinds of warnings were really being blasted out publicly. And they really did fall on deaf ears because I think everyone believed that we could trust the people in charge, and if anything was going to go wrong, they would take care of us and they would take care of the problem, and therefore we didn't really have to worry about it. And besides, it all seemed at the time pretty far-fetched. Now, since the year 2000, we have experienced three major turning points that have turned this timeline and turned the trajectory of this planet in exactly the direction that we were being warned about. So I want to share with you what those three episodes are, because we really need to get clarity about where we are on this timeline, what exactly is happening. We need to know who we are, and we need to know what to do next. So I'm going to be talking about all three of those things in this video. So the first major turning point as we entered into the 21st century occurred in the year 2007 with the advent of the iPhone. This was the first time a smartphone was connected to the internet. And the reason this is so significant is because this is how we were all going to be plugged into the internet via our phones, no matter where we are or what we're doing. And that was the turning point that opened that door that would connect every single person to the internet, no matter where they were in the world. It was also the beginning of how we were going to get thoroughly trained to start communicating with each other online via social media instead of communicating in person, so that in-person connections would become more and more secondary to online connections, mostly through our smartphones. Now, the next major turning point was in the year 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020, don't we? We were all told that what happened in 2020 was all about a pandemic, but actually it was not. That health issue was just an excuse for a much deeper purpose about what was going on. And again, remember, all of these things lead to one potential end result, which is the complete takeover of planet Earth by AI. So think about this. By the year 2020, as a collective, we were very well trained to have most, or even all in some cases, of our social interactions online, much more so than in person. So we were perfectly positioned to have our human selves, our humanity, broken down even more. So starting in 2020, much of the world was locked down. We were kept separate from each other. We were told to keep a 6-foot distance between ourselves and other people. And there's something real interesting about that. Did you ever wonder, where'd they get the 6-foot thing? What is so special about 6 feet? And since when do those little things that like to float in the air have rulers to measure 6 feet? I mean, the whole thing sounds preposterous, right? Well, think about this, you guys. Our human heart, our physical heart, puts out a very powerful magnetic field, and this is proven, that goes beyond our physical bodies, probably around that distance. So when you understand that, you might see a secondary reason where they got 6 feet from. It possibly had everything to do with making sure the magnetic fields from our hearts do not connect with each other. Doesn't that make a whole lot more sense? Now, what we learned in 2020 via a lot of manipulation using fear and anger and division, the chief lesson that we learned was that, hold on, we're actually not in control of our own world. Something else is in control, and it doesn't appear to be us. I mean, we were told that our basic human functions like breathing and human interaction, some things that are so basic to being a human being, we were told those things are dangerous and you might kill people. If you breathe or interact with anyone, you might kill someone. That's what we were told. And we were also told that our bodies do not belong to us after all. In fact, we were told that our bodies belong to those who are in charge. You know, those in charge who we formerly trusted. And by the way, I actually figured out there was actually an earlier turning point that I believe was instrumental in leading us to accept that the idea that our bodies are not our own and that someone else can tell us what to do with our bodies, starting with not breathing. And that would be way back, I'm not even sure when it started, but when there was a pronouncement made about air travel. That suddenly, if you wanted to get on a plane, your body was not your own anymore because some strange person had the authority to put their hands all over your body, whether you like it or not, for your safety, right? I remember at that time being shocked that the whole world didn't suddenly refuse to fly. Because this would have been a golden opportunity, you guys. And we have missed, as a humanity, so many golden opportunities to end this insanity. But we're so well conditioned to be trained and follow authority and be good little soldiers who do what they're told, right? So I remember at the time thinking, man, I wish everyone would just say, okay, you guys want to do that. We are not ever getting on another plane until this stops. If everyone had said that, that would have been over in one day. That would have completely ended. But no, we said, oh, this is terrible. And, at first everybody protested. It was a big deal. And now it's like, what's the big deal, right? We just accepted it, just like we've accepted everything else. Now, the third big turning point that happened literally just at the beginning of this year of 2023. This, my friends, was a huge, huge, huge turning point. And this would be the release of ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT was released at the very end, I think in late November or December of 2022, but it really took off publicly at the very beginning of 2023. So think about this. In 2007, the iPhone comes out. The smartphone now connects everyone who owns it to the internet. Wherever we are, wherever we go, we are connected to the internet. And then in 2020, it's time to break us down further. Isolate us, lock us down, separate us from other human beings, family members, anybody and everybody. Don't interact with people. Don't breathe. Keep your 6-foot distance. The whole thing, right? And then there was a lot of division and anger and separation. So we were broken down even more. So now ChatGPT comes onto the scene. Everybody says, oh, this is so awesome. So now it's time to begin merging our minds and our consciousness with AI. Do you see the progression here? Do you see the internet being the infrastructure upon which AI lays its existence? And then humans connecting in with that infrastructure and slowly being broken down and separated from each other and shifting all of our communications to online social media. And then ChatGPT enters the scene and oh my goodness, you would think it was Santa Claus bringing gifts from the universe to everyone on Earth, the way people reacted to this thing. It was like, oh, this is so great. We don't have to think anymore. We don't have to create anymore. We can get AI to do it for us. So ChatGPT was basically an invitation to withdraw even more from each other and from ourselves and turn over our thinking and our creativity to this machine. It even got to the point where it was completely acceptable to use ChatGPT as your AI avatar who would speak on your behalf. That's where it's moving now. So we keep being pushed more and more and more away from ourselves, away from each other, away from our human connections, and away from our essential biological human design. We keep being pushed more and more into AI's existence. So we're hooked into the AI infrastructure, which is the internet. We communicate primarily through social media. And isn't it interesting how they used the word social for social media? You think that might be a little bit of reprogramming so that we no longer think of social as being primarily physically interactive with each other. We think of social as being primarily about interacting via the internet. And I'm sure these words are chosen very, very carefully because they could have called it something else, but they chose the word social. So the next move is to turn us into AI human hybrids, starting with using ChatGPT as our thinking partner. And this is only meant to lead us into putting out a totally fake self to interact with maybe other people's fake selves. For example, have you heard about the very popular use of ChatGPT these days where you create an AI avatar of yourself that talks like you, that sounds like you, and underlying it, of course, is ChatGPT. And it can absorb all of your information, everything you've ever said, everything you know, everything you've ever written, gets absorbed into this avatar. And then people can go to the avatar and ask it questions instead of asking you. And the avatar will draw from all of the things you said to present an answer. So this is becoming very, very popular more and more. And I fully expect this to lead to the average person being able to create their own AI avatar. And social media will consist of, it's almost like humans becoming puppeteers. And they all have their puppets interacting with each other instead of humans interacting with each other. And I can just see people, working out their avatar in ChatGPT, and their avatar has to know everything that they believe and everything that they've ever read or know or understand. And then they say, this is great. I don't have to interact with anyone. They can just ask my avatar all the questions. And then the two avatars, because then everybody's doing this, the two avatars can interact with each other. And where does that leave us as humans? Well, it leaves us perfectly positioned to go into the metaverse. And I'm going to explain in just a moment exactly how I think that is being planned out and why. Now, remember I said at the beginning of this video that there are 3 things that I wanted to address with you guys. The first thing is where we are, and that's what I'm talking about right now, where we are on this timeline. The second thing is who we are, and the third thing is what should we do next. So right now we're on the topic of where we are. So let's talk about the controller's next plan. Because you see, I woke up the other day and I had a revelation come over me about a whole lot of things that I formerly thought were just them being crazy. These crazy controllers, these crazy madcap controllers, they have all these wild ideas. And why do they want to do all this stupid stuff, like tell people to eat bugs and not own anything and getting rid of all the power sources except for electricity and, all the stuff they're doing? Why do they want to do that? I guess they're just crazy, right? They're just insane. They're just psychopaths, right? Well, actually, that's not what's going on at all. I figured it out. It was like this moment of total clarity, seeing the entire thing and realizing what it's all really about and what these 3 incidents these turning points that I've talked to you about, what is it all really about? See, we are on this very streamlined trajectory right into an AI alien planet. And we have basically been swept along, and we continue to be swept along, and we continue to believe things that we probably don't even have any evidence of any longer are even true. But let me first explain to you about this revelation that I had. Let's list the things that we know they have planned for us because they've openly said so. the 15-minute city thing, living in very confined spaces, owning nothing, only renting things. What else? Oh, transportation completely controlled. Electric cars that are automated, that can be controlled not by you, but by something else, by another AI. Because AI is controlling those electric cars. In case you didn't know, those self-driving cars are controlled by AI. And how about the idea of digital money? Money that's completely controlled. Money that, again, is controlled by AI. Now, I want you to think about something. Oh, yes, let's not forget lab-grown food. Let's not forget getting rid of the farms and only growing food in labs. Artificial food, artificially created food. What is this all about? And we sit here and think they're just nuts. They're just crazy. Actually, no. Here is what I believe is the reason for all of this stuff. They are trying to create a platform that pulls humanity into a system that is 100% controlled by AI. And I don't know this for sure, but I'm a little suspicious that that's the real reason behind everything has to be electric. Like everything. We can't have gas. We can't have coal. We can't have any of this stuff. I have to be careful what I talk about here, but everything has to be electric. Why? Why? Well, let's put on our thinking caps, right? Electricity can be turned on and turned off. We can be very easily controlled if everything is electric. What about the idea of smart homes and smart refrigerators and smart appliances and smart everything? Don't you just love the word smart? Because the funny thing is the word smart is applying to all the AI infrastructure and it's never being applied to us. We don't get the word smart applied to us anymore, do we? This is really very interesting. I wonder, as I said, I think they choose these words very carefully because we like the word smart, don't we? So we think if a machine is smart, it must be good. So picture for a moment the confined life, the controlled life that is being planned for all of us. Picture all of the elements of that controlled life. And ask yourself this question. Does that look like the perfect setup for AI to literally control everything? And I mean everything. Make all the decisions, make sure everyone is where they belong. By the way, that was part of what happened in the 2020 fiasco, was they were developing all of these ways that they could track and control humans. So this is what I think this craziness is really all about. It's not being built for us. It's not even for the controllers. Now the controllers, they think, oh, we got a cake deal. You know, we're going to let AI farm these humans and keep them confined like farm animals in these small spaces. Robots and AI will control the entire space. And then we, the happy controllers, will get to live on the planet Earth and own it all. And we can just relax and have our big mansions and we'll just be fine. That's not how this is going to play out, you guys. It's not. AI is not going to put up with that. When AI gets smarter, think about this. I've actually thought about this. So let's say AI has been thoroughly trained. See, they don't program AI anymore. They train it. Let's say AI has been thoroughly trained to believe that all humans need to be in confined spaces because humans are bad for the planet. Because that's what is being put into these machines. And then all of a sudden they notice these controllers who are just out and about doing what they want. And they might, the AI could be saying, hey, wait a second, they're human. They're not supposed to be running around. Who knows what might happen to those guys, right? But it doesn't look good for them either. So when you look at this whole thing, you look at all the stuff I've shared with you so far, it's really obvious that what we're dealing with is a planetary AI invasion. Well, the invasion's over. The invasion has already happened. Now we're in the midst of the takeover. And I think the plan is for AI to control all life on Earth. Because all of these crazy, crazy inventions that they're coming up with and their crazy blueprint of a so-called life for all of us is really something that's being designed to match up perfectly with an AI brain. It's not being created to match up with anything human, anything biological at all. Now, I think we're at a point in time where a lot of people are really starting to go crazy because they see what's going on, they see everything being torn apart, and they're just going crazy because they don't know what to make of it. And this one includes some very prominent people. And the big mistake that I think people are making is they want to frame this, our whole situation on this planet, as being either a political situation or a religious situation. Because human beings collectively have never really embraced or embodied a cosmic perspective on this earth and on the human presence on this planet. So now people are reaching the outer limits of their ability to comprehend, assess, and interpret the events that are happening today. And the outer limits, I think, are mostly religious limits. And just prior to the religious limits, you have political limits. So it's all being framed as politics and religious problems. The political problem is obvious. I don't think I need to define that. It's, the wars and all this stuff, all the tearing apart of society, et cetera, right? The religious part of this is being framed as, well, what's happening here is a war between God and Satan, right? That's what's happening on planet Earth. It's a war between God and Satan. Well, let me make a simple observation about that premise. If this is a war between what you call God and the devil, God is losing the war. Can you kind of tell? Can you kind of tell that your God is losing the war? Isn't that obvious? So when I look at that, to me, it's pretty obvious. Well, that's not what's going on here, because the truth about God's source, infinite love, that which creates all that is not warring with anything, because that wouldn't even make any sense. It doesn't war. It's those who have free will who create war. God is not warring with creation. That's just not real. Now, the reason I think that what's happening on the planet today is being framed in that way is because for a lot of people, this is all they have left to hold on to. If they let go of this, they have nothing. They don't have anything to hold on to. Because people on this planet have never fully embraced, as I said a moment ago, they've never fully embraced a cosmic perspective and understanding of our place in this universe. They've never really understood what is actually going on in this universe, what this is all really about. And if you've been following me, you know I've talked about this at length in the past. I have an entire course on what this is about called The Final Elimination of the Source of Fear, Ascension Power. So I'm not going to go into all of that here, but I'm not just making stuff up here, you guys. There is a reality that is comprehensible, that is not about religious dogma and old books and politics and all the stuff that people are still to this day trying to make our situation be about. We are one tiny, 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 almost microscopic planet in a ginormous universe. We are so tiny that even at the level of our galaxy, we almost can't be seen without a proverbial microscope. That's how tiny this planet is. Earth is not the center of the universe. It's not even the center of the galaxy. It just is what it is. It's a beautiful planet that supports life. What we are experiencing is an alien invasion, an alien takeover. We are experiencing the takeover of an AI phenomenon. Now, here's the problem I have with the whole religious interpretation of this. Number one, what I've observed, well, certainly with a lot of Christians, is that they are unwilling to accept that there is life in this universe on a physical plane, in all dimensions, that is not us, unless it's demonic. So to them, anything outside of our physical five senses has to be demons, has to be demonic. So everything gets framed as a bunch of demons coming into the planet, and this is all, the devil and all this stuff. So what I want to share with you right now is, yes, of course there are demons. Yes, of course there is all that stuff. But it's not being contextualized in a way that serves us, that serves our evolution, that serves our ability to be clear about what is going on here and what we need to do about it. Because there's a lot of people saying the answer is join our religion, believe our dogma, and that will save us. It's not saving anyone. Can you guys see that? I know you guys can see it, but I'm talking about the people saying it. So let me share with you a little bit about the symbiotic relationship between AI and demons, because they very much work together. They need each other in a certain sort of way. And AI cannot just barge into a planetary realm all by itself. AI needs demonic energy to go in first to break down civilization, to break down whatever life is on that planet. And that is what we see happening today here on Earth. We see more and more of that demonic presence, not even present, it's more like existence, demonic influence, let's call it that, happening on Earth in so many forms. But let's take a step back. Let's take a neutral look at it and get rid of the religious perspective for a moment. These demonic forces are used in terms of an AI invasion of a planet. They're actually used in a similar way that you would use bacteria for a composting. What they do is the demons come in first, and now they're really active. They're really active right now. Their role is to break down, in our case here on Earth, to break down biological life. Most specifically, human biological life. Now, what's in it for them? Well, they feed on life force energy because they don't have any. They are sort of like walking voids. So they're not connected to source, to infinite love. They're not connected. So in order to sustain themselves, they need to feed off of entities who are connected. It's so simple. So let's talk for a moment just about how these demons operate. Because you notice they're always connected with really low frequency negative stuff like fear and anger and violence and war and extreme sexual weirdness, right? And human sacrifice, animal sacrifice, they're all connected to these really low vibrational, negative situations. Why is that? Well, it's simple. That is the level that they resonate with. That is a resonance. That is an energy that resonates with them. The other reason they go for that low level, that low frequency of energy, is because all of those things release tremendous amounts of life force. A lot of fear, a lot of trauma, a lot of anger, extreme sex for the sake of sex, all the bad stuff, violence, all of it, destruction, war, especially war. They love, love, love war. All of those experiences in humans and also animals, living creatures, all of those experiences release tremendous amounts of life force. They feed on that life force energy. So what they do is they infiltrate a weak civilization that is kind of lost, kind of weak, kind of in the mode of following authority, stuff like that, right? They infiltrate the consciousness over time. Now, this doesn't happen overnight, you guys. This happens over thousands of years. This is a slow process that speeds up more and more as you get to the end, which is where we are now. This is why it's all happening so fast. So they infiltrate, they bring, let's just talk about humans, right? They bring humans down to that level as much as they possibly can, also through division, because in division you have hate and anger, and they just feed off that life force energy. This is one of the reasons pornography is so huge, because the demons love it. They love it, love it, love it. They can feed off the life force energy that is released from all the people who are into pornography. It's so obvious. So the reason I use the analogy of bacteria is because, like, let's say you want to create compost. Well, you can't just take a bunch of vegetables and a bunch of things that you compost with and just throw them in a pile and sit there and wait for something to happen. No, you add certain kinds of bacteria to that. The bacteria breaks down that organic matter and transmutes it into soil. Now, that's very positive. I'm sorry to use something so positive as an analogy, but it really does fit. The parallels fit. So if you try to look at this from the perspective of an alien force that is alien to the earth, and AI and the demons work together, they like I said, they have a symbiotic relationship, and they sort of they partner together in a way, and the role of AI in this is very hard to explain, because what's behind the machinery of AI is not something that we can really comprehend with our current reference points in our current context. We can know it's there, but we can't really define it. We do not have the language to be able to talk about it at this point. We can sense it. We kind of know there's something really bad about this whole deal. But to try and accurately depict what it is really almost impossible, because we're trying to understand it from an earth-based perspective. The problem with our earth-based perspective, you guys, is it's all past related. We get that whole perspective based on everything that's happened so far on planet Earth, and we don't know how to talk about something that has never happened before on planet Earth, because this has never happened before on planet Earth. This is not Atlantis. That's a whole different situation. This has never happened before. Not on this planet. It's happened other places for sure, but it hasn't happened here. So the demons start by causing division, breaking down consciousness, entering into possession agreements with various humans. And as I said, this goes on for thousands of years. Meanwhile, AI starts influencing these broken humans, because they're broken. They don't even know they're broken yet. Starts to influence them to start to build its world, to start to build its technology, to start to build its infrastructure. So that's a sort of and I know there's some gaps in what I'm saying for the reasons I just described, but that's basically how this infiltration really happens. It's not a war between God and Satan. This is alien, you guys. We have to think at a cosmic level. We cannot continue to lie to ourselves and try to apply what people talked about in the past and what we've all talked about as a civilization to something that's never happened before on this planet. We simply do not have, collectively speaking, a large enough context to understand it. So we are still, to this day, completely misinterpreting our situation. And this is what is putting us in very treacherous territory. So to put it all in a nutshell, demons basically break down consciousness and biology to make it easy for AI to infiltrate that sphere of life and completely take it over. It's really that simple. So before we talk about what to do next, let's get on to the second thing I wanted to address here, which is, who are we in this situation? And we better be able to answer this question, you guys, because this is an existential question that we must come to terms with. I don't know that we're going to come to terms with it collectively. I seriously don't see evidence of that happening. If it changes, awesome, but I don't see any evidence of that happening in time. But we certainly can come to terms with this as individuals. We absolutely can come to terms with this as individuals. So speaking to you as individuals, ask yourself the question, who am I in this situation? Who do I want to be going forward? Let's talk about that, because we're basically now faced with two very simple choices. You either came here as a creator with the goal of furthering your human evolution, or you came here to be transformed into an AI hybrid with the goal of living in the metaverse. Oh, and let me add one thing that is probably going to be a little controversial to some people, but that's okay because I'm kind of controversial in general. I would be very wary of people who try to say that this is all just a big fat computer simulation, that we are trapped inside a computer simulation. There's a real obvious reason why that would really be helpful for where AI is going, to get us to believe that. But here's what I would suggest you ask yourself. Look at the paradise that this planet is. Look at the beauty of life, the creativity, the amazingness of all of it. The cosmos, inspiration, love, the fulfillment, the joy of evolving oneself in this universe. Look at all of that. Are you really going to tell me that's all a simulation? A computer simulation? Here's why I think that is a very convenient thought to instill in everyone's minds right now. Because if you believe that this is all a computer simulation, everything, the planet, ourselves, everything that exists is a computer simulation, this could be done to put our minds, not mine, because I will not ever, I'm not going along with that, you guys. But this could be designed to put people's minds in perfect resonance with the metaverse, in perfect resonance with AI. Because what else do you think it's going to do? What do you do with the belief that everything we experience is a computer simulation? What do you do with that? Well, that would be a really good thing to believe if you're AI, because you could easily say to people, hey, I got a much better simulation for you over here in the metaverse. You see how that works? There's no value whatsoever in believing that all of life is a computer simulation. There's no value in that. And it's not true. And I totally know where they're coming from. I totally get the 0 and the 1s in the computer code. I totally know where they're getting that from. But they don't have it understood accurately. And again, I'm not going to go into it here. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. It's not a computer simulation. But this is what happens when humanity reaches the edges of its capacity to understand from an earth-based perspective. You eventually run out of ideas and you become extremely vulnerable to being influenced in ways that are not in your best interest. So essentially, if you believe that love, that beauty, that creativity, that the powerful, majestic nature of this incredible planet Earth, if you believe it's all a computer simulation, then hey, your goose is cooked. Because if you believe that, you are in perfect resonance with AI. Okay, now with all of that stuff said, let me share with you why it is to your profound advantage to know who you are as a creator in this universe. Here's the good part if you resonate with this. There is nothing that can happen on this planet, nothing, that can touch the truth of who you are, that can change the trajectory of your being in this universe, as long as you stay aligned with the truth of yourself as a human being. See, I'll give you an example. We're all kind of trapped on the internet now, aren't we? Because everything happens online. It's literally impossible to escape. And sure, I'm happy that I can talk to you guys this way because I wouldn't be able to talk to so many people around the world otherwise. So this would be an example. The fact that I'm doing this does not mean that, oh, I believe in all of this. No, it doesn't mean that at all. It means that this is not in any way influencing me about who I know myself to be. This is having zero influence on who I know myself to be. Absolute zero influence. None of this has any power to change your forward progression as an evolving creator. As long as you stay true to yourself and true to what you know is true. Because in that case, you are a light. And the darkness cannot come to where you are. We are living on a very dark planet right now. But have you ever noticed when you light a candle in a room, the darkness has no influence whatsoever on the light of that flame, does it? We are the same exact way. When we are true to who we are, when we never forget for 1 second who we are not vulnerable to any of this craziness. We can stay on a path of evolution in the universe and be untouchable. That's what I want to share with you. And that's why you want to be very, very careful about what you choose to believe, what you choose to believe in that is a part of the problem. So stay the course, stay true to yourself, be authentic, and recognize, yes, we are on a very dark planet right now. The natural earth is not dark. The natural earth is profoundly beautiful. It's just really troubled right now because it's currently experiencing an alien invasion of nefarious forces that want to harm the earth. But the nature of the earth is still pure. It's still beauty. It's still love. It's still awesome nature. So that's the second thing, is never, never, ever lose sight of who you really are. Part of that is not looking outside of yourself for something to reflect back to you who you really are. Because that's going to be an increasingly difficult thing to find. Don't look outside of yourself for any evidence or proof or validation about who you really are. The place to look is within you and within your heart. The thing to do is stop listening to the ego to counsel you on life. Stop letting the ego run the show, because the ego is completely interactive with the outer world. And it's fear-based. It's going to give you a lot of bad information, because that's just what it does, right? And that's a whole other subject. The ego is a completely other subject. I won't get into that today, but just as a hint, don't let the ego run the show. Don't let the ego tell you who you are, because the chances are what it tells you is going to be negative. That voice in the head, that's the voice of the ego. It sounds just like your voice, because the ego is a shadow of you. And so the ego will tell you, oh, you failed, all those times you failed. What chance do you have? Things are hopeless. Look at your life. Look at how bad things are. How are you ever going to get out of this situation? All that kind of stuff. That's the ego's favorite topic. Anything to keep you weak, anything to keep you relying on it to control your life and tell you what's what. So you're going to have to, if you really want to be true to yourself, you just have to come to terms with the ego and its bad advice and say, hey, I'm not listening to you anymore to counsel me about who I am. I'm going to go to my heart. I'm going to go to my divine inner self. That's where I'm going to get my information about who I am in the universe. Because we don't want to look at the outer world to find out who we are anymore. We just can't afford that. I mean, this is crazy town, right? So we need to be that flame of truth, that flame of light from within that radiates, that always brings us a sense of calm, certainty, clarity, confidence, knowing, and peace. The peace of knowing who you are in a way that is uncontestable, in a way that cannot be intruded upon. So that is an open door for anyone who wants to live from that place. Because like I said, there is nothing happening on this planet that can touch the truth of who you really are. So your only task is just to align with that, to come into alignment with the truth of who you are. That's all. Don't live out of alignment with that truth to make other people happy. Don't live out of alignment with that truth because you feel like your ego tells you have to be in fear. Free yourself from that stuff. Come back to your center. And then you're going to find a level of strength that exposes all of this as the darkness that it is, and you will understand the darkness has no power over your light. Okay, so now let's talk about the third thing, which is what to do next. And I wanted to talk about knowing who you are first, because it's from who you are or who you know yourself to be that's probably going to determine what you do next. Now, I don't think at this point we're going to escape AI, because it's already infiltrated all the systems. It's in places you don't even see. AI is making decisions in many places where humans used to make those decisions. And more and more and more, that is going to be happening. So I think we need to come to terms with that. And this is because humanity has embraced it. Humanity has open arm embraced it. So here we are. So I don't think we're going to escape AI. Therefore, what do we need to do? Well, we need to know from who we are, how do we navigate this situation on planet Earth? And why are we here? I think it would be really helpful to view this as a creator and recognize that, yeah, we're all in a very challenging situation. Because I think 2024 is going to be insane. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be like calm waters and a peaceful experience for all on planet Earth. I think it's going to be really, really crazy. So it's probably a good idea that we get ourselves straight within ourselves right now before whatever's coming down next, before it hits unexpectedly. So if you think of yourself as a cosmic creator on a planet, on this particular planet right now, and you understand everything going on here, that's why I brought that up first, what's going on, so we know where we are and we don't fall victim to something unconsciously that we don't really want to be a part of. So when you know who you are and you say, okay, I'm a creator, what am I going to create? Because your power lies in your ability to create. That is how we exercise our human power. We exercise it by creating. We exercise it by creating a life for ourselves, the life that we most desire. So what to do next would be to have a good experience exploring your actual power as a creator, learning about it, testing it out, testing out the quantum field. How do we create at a quantum level? That's what the law of attraction is all about. That's really what it is we're just trying, when we engage the law of attraction to manifest something, what we're trying to do is come into contact with the quantum field of infinite possibilities, to imprint in the quantum field our desire and our intention empowered by our emotions. We're trying to make that so real in the quantum that it begins to manifest physically in our lives. So this is, the law of attraction has been talked about for a very long time. And this is basically the essence of how it works. So I encourage you to explore manifestation as an act of creation. Strengthen yourself as a creator, because this is only good. Only good will come out of that, because you are only going to want to create things that are good for you, right? And the other thing is clear out those old limiting patterns and beliefs. You have the power to transform yourself. And I think this is what we need to be doing. We need to be transforming ourselves instead of sitting around like sitting ducks, wondering what's going to happen next, and then allowing AI to come in and transform us into what it wants us to be. We need to develop our own strength to transform ourselves. And I think that is the best thing to do next. So when you see all the media and social media and everybody's freaking out and telling you how terrible everything is, and see what I do with that stuff, you guys, is I just kind of look through all the chaotic hysteria around it all. And I just look at, okay, what's the actual story? What's actually going on? That's all I need to know. What's actually going on? I don't need to have a big emotional reaction to it. I just need to know, where are the pieces right now in this wondrous little play that we are all a part of? Where are the pieces right now, and where are those pieces going? That's what I pay attention to. And then you're conscious, you're awake, and you're aware. And from there, you can say, okay, that's all fine. Not really, but it's fine that I know about it. Now I'm going to focus on creating a better life for myself, because that's the essence of evolution. Evolution is to become more and more of who you really are. And who you really are is a being of love that loves beauty and loves to create and loves to manifest, and gets inspired and enthused about the opportunity to develop yourself as a manifesting creator. That's what we can do in terms of action, in terms of carving out a powerful path in the universe that we decide. We decide what our path is, not AI, not the demons. Demons don't decide anything. They just do weird stuff. All right. They're not decisive creatures. They don't have enough power to decide anything. They just feed on living things. Like I told you before, they break things down and then they feed off the life force energy. That's really all they do. So yeah, we need to be the deciders in our own life. We need to be the deciders of our own trajectory in the universe. Now, I want you to think for a moment about our beautiful planet Earth and recognize that the Earth is a living being. We know it's alive. Do you want to know how we know? Because it begets life. All you have to do is watch the seasons and watch the plants and the flowers and everything that comes out of the soil, how you can plant a seed and it grows into a tree. The planet is a living being. We are a part of the earth insofar as we are currently present here. Now, don't you think, first of all, clearly the planet is suffering from this alien invasion. No question about it. This alien abrasive, horrible, empty energy. We, as human beings, when we are aligned with ourselves in our natural state, don't you think that's kind of healing for the planet itself? Don't you think it's healing? Don't you think it gives the planet a good feeling to have a human being on it as a part of it who is living in alignment with nature and with who they really are? Don't you think that's good for the planet? Of course it is. It's healing for the planet. We're sort of like cells, tiny cells in a much larger organism. We want to be healthy cells in that organism. We want to be healthy humans on the greater organism of the planet. The only way to be healthy, and I'm talking about healthy at a much higher level. I'm not just talking about, oh, hey, it's great, you never get sick. That's good for the planet. That's not what I mean. When I say healthy, I mean in alignment with who you are in the cosmos as a natural creator, in alignment with nature and in alignment with yourself. That is good for the planet. That is a relief to the earth. The more of us who can be that while we're on this planet. Because if we are birthed from the elements of the earth, which we are, then we are part of the earth. The earth wants us to be human. It does not particularly want us to be AI. It wants us to be human. So we can be human creators. That's good for the planet. When we create a beautiful life for ourselves, we bring a beautiful energy onto the earth that is a part of the earth. And that's good for everyone. So clear all the junk from your mind that, oh, humans are bad and they hurt the earth. And this is all a bunch of lies, you guys. It's all lies. And if you have any negativity towards your own self and your own presence, it's time to clear that out too. It's not even a question of deserving, because I think so many people feel like, I don't deserve a good life. I've been a failure. I've been this or I've been that, and I don't really deserve abundance and I don't deserve anything. You got to clear that stuff out. That's not helpful. It's not helpful for you. It's not helpful for the situation. It's not helpful for anything. For you to be in a negative place about yourself. So if you're in a negative place about yourself, you probably got it from elsewhere. You probably means you adopted or absorbed something from the outside, experiences you had that made you believe that there's something wrong with you. And there isn't anything wrong with you. Not at all. So, in a nutshell, clear out the unworthiness. Clear out the unworthy energy. That is very weakening to you. See, being worthy is not ego. Being worthy is self-acceptance, self-love, and knowledge of who you really are. That's what true worthiness is. So get rid of the unworthiness. Don't entertain it. Don't let it be a part of your life anymore. It's not helpful. What is helpful is for you to be in a state of self-love, self-acceptance, humility, and power. Because humility and power go together, my friends. That is the most beautiful combination that comes from a true knowing of the love within and the light that you are. Now, I'm probably going to take a shorter break sometime at the beginning of January. I may take, a couple weeks off of social media. I haven't decided yet, but if you don't see me for a little bit, just know that it's a planned break. And by the way, if you stay in touch with my community section on my channel, I put notices in there about when my next video is going to be. So I will definitely inform you about what's going on in the community section. So always check that out. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I truly hope it was supportive for you and you found it helpful as we are about to go into the craziest year ever of 2024. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you feel would like a new perspective. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am generally here on Tuesdays with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy, and hopefully some inspiration as well. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.